Welcome to Talk Ottumwa, a production of Greater Ottumwa Partners in Progress. On this podcast, we'll talk about the local businesses in Ottumwa to give you the backstory to their success. We'll also talk about the economic initiatives that are driving the progress of the community, and we'll talk about the issues that the community faces and much more. So stick around and let's talk Ottumwa. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talk Ottumwa. And today we have from the Ottumwa Job Corps Center, Shiloh Seim. Welcome, Shiloh.
Oh, thank you, Mark. Thank you so much for having me today.
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. A lot of people don't know about Job Corps and what it is. They get it confused with Workforce Development Center, which is clearly not. So can you just give us a little bit of an idea of what Job Corps actually is for Ottumwa?
Yeah, that's my pleasure. So Job Corps, the Ottumwa Job Corps Center has been out by the airport since 2011. Our goal is to remove barriers so that people are able to become actively and gainfully employed. Our students are 16 to 24 years old, and they typically have some sort of barrier. A lot of those barriers could be, finances, maybe even homelessness. But we've been able to serve over 2,000 students since we've been around the last 11 years. And there's actually 123 Job Corps across the United States. So you can find a Job Corps in Maine, you can find one in Alaska, Puerto Rico, California, everywhere. There's two located in Iowa, one being Ottumwa and another in Denison, Iowa. Our specific Job Corps Center, we have 5 different trades on our center. We're also a residential program. So let's say you're in between the ages of 16 to 24, could be facing homelessness, or you don't have your high school diploma, maybe traditional learning wasn't perfect for you. You could come to our center, obtain your high school diploma, all the while receiving trade certifications. And then once you graduate our program, we have a career transition specialist department that can actually assist you with obtaining and maintaining employment. The different trades that we have on center are facility maintenance, which is a precursor for the construction trades at Indian Hills, certified nurse assistant, medical administrative assistant, network cable installation, and material handling and distribution operations. A lot of our programs are designed specifically with the certifications that they can obtain so they can get employment as soon as they leave our facilities. Now, a lot of our students are college bound. So students that might take our facility maintenance program, they go on to take HVAC at Indian Hills or the construction program at Indian Hills. Material handling, a lot of those students go on to get their CDL, go to automotive, diesel mechanic, healthcare. We have CNA on center. And those students actually, a lot of them go on to get their LPN and their RN. And our medical billing portion, those students, they'll go on, they can do medical lab tech, just a variety of different things. We're uniquely aligned with Indian Hills that we sponsor a lot of the programs that they have. So when someone comes and they become part of Job Corps, there's no cost whatsoever, but they can live at our center. We have 2 dorms. We have a recreation center. We have a cafe. Obviously, we have our education building, admin. We also have a health and wellness center. So we also ensure that people that might have medical barriers, we're able to remove those barriers from them or assist them in overcoming those barriers so that they can get the employment when they separate from our program. At Indian Hills, a lot of our students, yes, you could live on center, but you don't have to. You could be a non-residential student, and a lot of our Indian Hills students become non-residential students or they begin at Indian Hills. A lot of times with the Indian Hills students, that financial assistance, that financial portion is the barrier that they need to overcome. So we offer tuition-free education, financial aid assistance. We pay for books, uniforms, supplies, tools, testing fees. We assist with medical insurance assistance, academic advising, and registration for each term. Personalized and consistent educational support, a biweekly stipend of $40. Then after 180 days, they get $70. And for those students that aren't living on center and going to Indian Hills, we pay $370 per term for a meal plan. So you go to school 4 days a week, and you essentially get your lunch covered each day. We also have a clothing allotment for people when they separate from our program. The reason why we have a clothing allotment is you need to make sure that you get interview clothing or have work clothing when you start in the workforce. $500 upon completion of the program, and we have career transition services 1 year after graduation. So let's say you separate, you've got this great job, you're there for 90 days, but you don't make it to full time, and you still need some assistance. We have counselors that are looking for you to find that gainful employment and jobs in your area that you've been trained in and certified in. Mark, do you have any questions for me so far?
Yeah, actually I do. And I really want to start off not with a question so much, but something I think that you humbly left out in talking through what the Job Corps of Ottumwa was. And you left out, from my knowledge, that the Ottumwa Job Corps Center has been the first or the best in the nation for several years. And also, to my understanding, it has been good for so many years that now it's becoming a model center for all of the Job Corps across the United States.
That's correct. So right now we're number 7, but we're getting back to being number 1. So that is pretty exciting. We've been around for 11 years in our community, and of those 11 years, we've been ranked number 1 like 3 times, and that's out of 123 Job Corps across the United States. How they decide that ranking is from when a student separates from our program, and they get that employment. It's based off of their pay and the length of them being employed. So real awesome actual jobs. So people in California, when they're separating from those programs, and of course that Job Corps is amazing, those Job Corps are, but Ottumwa is beating, Sacramento, Miami. It's pretty incredible, and that's just in our backyard.
Yeah, and people say that we don't do things right in Ottumwa.
Well,
I just had to throw that in. But speaking of, the students that are graduating out of the program, do you happen to know roughly what the successful placement rate is from the students that are coming out of the programs here, getting into a job?
I wouldn't be able to give you the exact percentages, but the majority of our students for sure. And we're also a little spoiled because our students at Indian Hills, they also have their own instructors. So it's not just our career transition department, and it's not just us trying to help them get that gainful employment. It's also their instructors. So, the dental hygienist program's been one that's incredibly successful. We just had a student separate, and she started off making $42 an hour, and she doesn't have to pay any school loans back. And the dental hygienist program can be pretty expensive with all the tools that they need. And we cover that. Also, their testing. So those are things that are all covered. But yeah, it's remarkable to see what happens with our students. Go on.
So let's talk about the students for just a second. You said it's 16 to 24, correct?
Uh-huh.
Where are those students typically coming from? Are those like local students, or are they coming from other areas of the state or the nation?
So a lot of our students come from Des Moines and Cedar Rapids.
Okay.
So we actually cover an area that, up to Des Moines, Cedar Rapids area, and then all the way to the bottom of the map on Iowa. So it's kind of hard to specifically say how large of a location, but obviously like half of the state. But we do get student recruits just based off of the different trades that we do sponsor. So they can come from St. Louis. I've been talking to a student. I've been talking to his dad, and he lives in Miami right now.
Okay.
But he is coming to live in Des Moines, so he'd be going to our Job Corps. So our students can come from everywhere. We've been closed off for a couple of years due to COVID, and we're a little bit behind the state of Iowa. We just opened up, about 2 months ago to be at pretty much full capacity. We currently have 116 students on center. That number just changed today because we just onboarded. These next 2 weeks, we're going to onboard 33 different students, and that's all for Indian Hills for this fall term. We're actually working on our winter term recruitment. So if anybody's interested in going to Indian Hills this winter term, reach out to us. My email address is SEIM Shiloh, SHILOH @jobcorps.org. Job Corps, it has a silent S in it too, so it's JOBCORPS.org.
Okay.
And if you are interested to come live on center, I'd highly recommend doing a campus tour. We have a beautiful campus. It's 27 acres. It's an urban campus. There, again, I said we have a cafeteria. We have a phenomenal cafe staff. They try to accommodate everybody's needs. So I'm a pescatarian, and so at least once a week there's fish dishes. There's always vegetarian options, and sometimes students complain because they want pizza and hamburger every day, but we want to ensure that their nutritional needs are met as well. So that's also a criteria for us, and to ensure that people are happy and healthy and safe.
And I just took that tour myself, so I can attest to the fact that it really is a beautiful campus. In looking at the placements again after they graduate from your program, do you have any idea how many of those actually stay in the Ottumwa area?
So that's something that we're kind of changing. So a lot of our recruits, like I said, come from Des Moines or Cedar Rapids. Mm-hmm. So they're going to want to go back to where their families are. I don't know that our city has really... I don't know that a lot of people know about what a great resource there is in their backyard. So I was recently promoted to outreach and admissions manager. So I'm about a month in. And so that's been one of my goals, is to make sure that the community knows, hey, we're here. We are an excellent resource. Just last week, last Saturday, there was that back to school event. Mm-hmm. And as I was walking around, just speaking with different people about Job Corps, this gentleman came up to me. He was actually the first recruit to Job Corps.
Oh, wow.
His name was Trent, and he went on to go to Indian Hills, and he now works at Vermeer full time. And he just, it was really awesome to hear him say, like, I'd never met him, but for him to just talk about, Job Corps changed my life. I was able to finish my high school diploma. I was able to obtain that trade, get sponsored at Indian Hills, and now, a full-time job at Vermeer. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that I really find unique about the Ottumwa Job Corps Center is they're working with people that are not in the place to have those advantages growing up, having all the tools necessary, whether it's technical skills or even soft skills, to go out and be employable in the workforce, to be able to have that center here and be able to teach those skills and bring those people either to Ottumwa or keep them in Ottumwa and, become tax-paying citizens, raise their families here. That's something that a lot of communities don't have that we do have. And, if we want to talk about economic development for a second, that's a huge economic development tool that we have in our back pocket, is having a center like this in town to help lift up those people that might not necessarily get that hand up if they don't have it. So I think that's kind of cool.
No, it's amazing. And, a lot of all the staff that work out there, the instructors, the counselors, I think everybody, and myself included, we're definitely out there because we're serving such a great purpose. And we get to see daily transformations in people's lives. So let's say someone, they came from an unstructured home, and maybe there was mental health issues, maybe even substance abuse issues in their household while they were growing up. Those students, they can come to our center, become residential students. We're taking them out of that environment. And yes, we're giving them structure so that they can see what life is like without those barriers facing them every day. They might not even know that was something that was hindering their next steps. And we see that every day. We have students that come in and they might be unruly at first because they don't know how to function very well in a structured environment. And then they become the best students ever. And it's just incredible. We also, I like that you said, the soft skills. Soft skills are really important. We have on-center work-based learning with our students. So as they're going through their program, they also have to complete work-based learning on center. While they're completing the work-based learning, we're able to identify, if there are going to be issues when they become gainfully employed. It could be filling out timesheets. So we help people learn how to fill out timesheets. It could be learning how to read your pay stubs, how to develop your resume, but hygiene, 16 to 24-year-olds. Hygiene can definitely be an issue.
I'm guessing especially the boys.
Maybe. But so through the work-based learning, we're able to see, what hindrances someone might have. It might be a bad attitude. If they're told, hey, you need to accomplish this more timely or get off your phone. People ages 16 to 24, most definitely, they've grown up with having a device in their hand. And we also have workforce councils. So we partner with a lot of different employers all around the state of Iowa, and they give us direct feedback of what they see with incoming employees. It doesn't have to be a Job Corps student, but just in general. Some of the feedback that we've got are, applied mathematics. So while you're on center, they're also, students are also learning numeracy and literacy, so that they can, excel. They start wherever they're at. We work with them, and then they're able to grow. And how we identify that they have growth in mathematics and literacy is we test them every 90 days. And as a reward, when they go up in their test scores, they get like $15-20, nothing exceptional, but it's a nice reward. Mm-hmm. And some students, literacy or numeracy is not their favorite, which is okay. But we just encourage them to try harder so then they can test out of that program.
Yeah, there you go. One thing that people probably don't know, and this is something that I've talked about on several past podcasts, is volunteering. We have a great community for volunteering in Ottumwa, and that really doesn't stop outside of the walls at Job Corps. I know from my prior life, and even in some of the things that I'm involved with now, one of the biggest mass volunteer pools that we have from time to time is the students that are at Job Corps. Call Job Corps up and boom, all of a sudden you have 15 students that are volunteering for you. So can you talk just about the volunteer efforts that a lot of these students go through? Because I know that a lot of people think that these kids are just going to school, but they're really learning how to be a part of a community at the same time.
Most definitely. We even have a student body government, that president, vice president, and they again, we are just coming out of COVID, so we haven't had as many opportunities to get out there and volunteer since just due to COVID in the last couple of years. But we have started again. So they've assisted a bit at the most recent Juneteenth event, the Pride Block Party. They're going to be volunteering at International Festival in September. But our student government body, they just went to Pizza Ranch and they did a tip night, and they raised close to $400 during that time. But like you said, in my past life, I used to do a lot of community events. And the students that I got from Job Corps that assisted, it was kind of remarkable, because I would turn around and be struggling, and somehow they just could identify that I needed help putting up these tents or moving these picnic tables, and they were right there. Mm-hmm. The students that go out and volunteer, they request it, so they know what they're getting into and they want to do that. Yeah. We also have a lot of students that go out and volunteer at the Humane Society as well.
Okay.
But yes, you most definitely can contact Job Corps and inquire about having student volunteers. Bridgeview Center, they take advantage and make use. And honestly, it's really cool for the students to be able to check out the different facilities or different events in the communities. But yeah, they're becoming community involved and acclimated to having that mindfulness when they separate from the program.
So if somebody, a nonprofit individual, is listening and they do want to look into volunteers, who is it that they contact? Is that you or is that somebody else?
Well, depending on the time, so it could be the work-based learning coordinator, or it could also be just the rec staff. Because, if it's after classroom hours, I'd suggest maybe just starting with calling the center phone line, which is 641-682-2000. And again, that's 641-682-2000, and that'll direct them to get to the right pathway.
Okay. So one of the things that you did mention a little while ago, and I want to make sure that I don't lose sight of it, is the work that you're doing in conjunction with some of the companies. Does Job Corps work with a lot of the local companies to make sure that the education is going down the path that the companies need, or are there other partnerships involved with a lot of the local companies?
Oh yeah, we have a lot of work-based learning with different companies. So we actually have, like I said earlier, a workforce council, and those. The people that are part of the Workforce Council, they're in the different fields that we work with, so the different trades. So around our community, we work with Winger, we work with MCG is a great partner. In the different medical fields, we work with Care Initiatives, Ottumwa Regional Health Center, and they give us open and honest feedback with what they need. Part of their duties as being part of our workforce council is to educate us when trends are changing, so we can keep up with the times. And we're actually teaching students, something that's going to be applicable when they separate from the program. So, like I mentioned before, it was applied mathematics. So that was as simple as knowing students or just employees in general that they were seeing. They didn't know how to read a tape measure. So we ensure that our students, especially in facility maintenance or material handling or network cable installation, that they know how to read a tape measure. Soft skills, we've identified that in Workforce Council, showing up on time. So the students, when they're there, they have to be timely. to get to class. And if not, they get put on concern, which concern is essentially we have different rec trips that the students go on every weekend. Just last weekend, they went and saw Nellie at the state fair. Now, if they weren't showing up to classes, they're put at the bottom of the list to attend.
So is that like the proverbial name on the board?
Oh, yes. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. But when you want to go out and see Nellie, paid for, all the recreation trips that we take students on, we pay for. So we'll have Adventureland coming up. Obviously, the state fair, paintball trips. They go to the movies probably once a week. Just different outings, going and visiting the arcade at the mall, or maybe, we have a lot going on in our community. But yeah, we pay for all those trips.
Okay. I want to go back just a little bit. You mentioned the tours. And again, for anybody who would like to see what's going on out there, I would highly encourage doing that, because it really is cool to see what the place looks like from the inside, because it's a completely different atmosphere than what it is, just driving by. But I thought one of the coolest things through the entire tour that we did was going into, and I can't remember which section it was, and maybe there's a house in there that the students build completely and then tear down completely every year. So I thought that was really cool, and it really was a pretty unique insight to the building trades, because they're literally building a house inside of the building.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, that's a facility maintenance program. And so that's kind of a smorgasbord of the construction trade. So yes, they learn to put up the house, take down the house. I think their first project when they get into facility maintenance is to make a box. So they're learning how to use all those tools and sand and what have you. But they also learn how to utilize blueprints. So there is a lot of hands-on at our center. So like you said, it was really cool to go into the facility maintenance room. And right next to it's our material handling, and we have different forklifts. So all our students that take the material handling course, they learn how to drive all those forklifts and get certified in it. I believe there's 3 or 4 certifications.
I do know that the OSHA 10 hour is one of them.
Yep.
Because I asked that question.
Yep. Before they're ever able to do any of those things, OSHA 10 is going to be number 1. And all of our students are CPR and first aid certified. All of our staff is CPR and first aid certified. It's a nice little check mark when you're on your resume. Yes, I've obtained that. And a lot of employers, they require it. So we just made it a little easier for them, because they don't have to pay for that person to get their OSHA 10.
Especially in your medical related fields.
Oh yeah. Yep. And they, all the HIPAA certifications, our CNAs and our medical billing students, they obtain those as well.
Okay, cool. What else is it that you want people to know about the Ottumwa Job Corps Center?
Well, I want everyone to come out and check it out. So we do have a campus tours every Tuesday at 9:30. We'll feed you too, so we need to know how many people are attending. So if you want to attend one of our campus tours, go to Eventbrite online and just type in Ottumwa Job Corps, and it'll be pretty easy to find through that realm. And if you want to apply to Job Corps, all you have to do is type in ottumwa.jobcorps.gov, and your name, you'll fill out a little bit of information, and then one of our outreach and admissions counselors will contact you and assist you with those next steps in getting enrolled to Job Corps. We also, sometimes students, while they're waiting, they come up with different questions. Everybody would, right? Mm-hmm. What's it going to be like? What's dorm life like? What are the students like? It's nerve-wracking making a big change, So we have virtual information sessions. And on the virtual information sessions, there'll be instructors pop on. I'll be on there, other outreach and admissions counselors. We also have students that are there so they can tell you exactly what it's like living on campus. Honestly, the greatest spokespeople that we have for Job Corps are our students. I should have brought a student with me. But if you are interested in applying for Job Corps, ottumwa.jobcorps.gov. If you want a campus tour, go to Eventbrite, type in Ottumwa Job Corps. And if you want one of the virtual information sessions, I can send you the link. So I would suggest probably just calling me or emailing me. My phone number is 641-683-0210. And my email is Seim, SEIM, .shiloh, SHILOH, @jobcorps.gov. And remember, there's that silent S in Job Corps.
Because the English language is so easy.
It's perfect, right?
All right. Well, one last thing I wanted to talk to you about. You had kind of briefly mentioned it right in the beginning, and I hate to keep going back to this, but it is unique somewhat to your place because it is a campus, is COVID. How did COVID affect the Ottumwa Job Corps Center, and how did you move past it?
Yeah. So I was actually hired January 27th of 2021. So when I started, we were in the middle of COVID. Did a daily attestation to, ensure that you didn't have COVID, you hadn't been around anybody who had COVID. And then you masked and socially distanced. So originally, we shut down, and we shut down for a long time. And then when our students started coming back, it's an attestation to our students that, really wanted to thrive and take those next steps, because they couldn't just leave center. Because if they came back to center and they're in a dorm and they have COVID, everyone's going to have COVID. So we were pretty locked down. And then just the last 6 months, we went from being able to unmask to loosen our social distancing. Now social distancing is available in each classroom for anybody. We don't have anyone taking advantage of that, though, right now. Everyone's happy to be close to each other.
Most people are pretty much just over COVID at this point, I think.
Yeah. But, again, we still, it's still critical for us, because if we were to have an outbreak, our center
it would be a problem.
Everyone would have to quarantine, would probably go on lockdown again. Students wouldn't be able to leave and come back and forth. So we do take it pretty seriously. But yeah, as of right now, we're golden. Everything seems wonderful, up and running. We're able to have tours. Students are able to come and go as they please. So it's a good time. I forgot to mention another barrier for people. Obviously I said, if you don't have your high school diploma, we help you obtain your high school diploma. But having a driver's license is another barrier. It's difficult to get employment if you can't drive to work, if you can't get there. So we also have a driver's ed instructor on center.
Well, for anybody that's listening, if you do want more information about the Ottumwa Job Corps Center, or you or somebody might be interested in taking advantage of the program, give Shiloh a call, email Shiloh. And just remember that Job Corps is a integral part of the Ottumwa community at this point in time, and be proud of it, because they've done a really good job over the last decade. So it's something that puts the Ottumwa name on the national map, and we should all really be happy about that.
Yeah, we're a diamond.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right. Well, Shiloh, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Mark,
and
always a pleasure to see you, and thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, everybody, stick around for the next episode of Talk Ottumwa.
Woo!